I continued the trial fit of the arches down along the left hand side of the 1980 Opel Kadett Historic Rally Project car, and now I'm going to do the front spoiler, which goes across the bottom of the valence here. Similar principle, I'm going to tape up where the threaded studs need to go through the bodywork, and I'm going to just mark one of them this time. And since these are all at the same height, I'll actually take a measurement of one of the holes, just using this basic calipers, and I'll just transfer that height all along each of those pads, and then I'll hold up the spoiler then again and use it to get the vertical axis for each of those. Marked them there with a marker, just so I take the right interpretation of the cross point before I make holes in the car. So I drill them out 5.5 mil. I think the studs are 5 because I'm comfortable of them to go through. I think when I finally fit these, I will put a sealant in them so that the rust doesn't start from the edges of the holes, because there will be a little bit of a water trap, and that'll also help to bond them in. Some of these threads are a little bit old. That valence is going to be satin black from behind the bumper down. So that's the studs coming through the valence. I'll put a washer and a nut on each of these. These nuts were on it, but they're not actually the right thread. They're probably oversized. I'll have to look for something more appropriate to hold them on properly. It's worth doing this because I've actually spotted that a little piece of the valence is popping in and out, a slight dent just in the middle there. So I'll sort that out, and I wouldn't have discovered that if I hadn't fitted this, and better to be doing a little bit of bending and stuff when I haven't got fresh paint on the car. That's my roof spoiler. Been there for a long time. Just wipe it down roughly now, and I'll use a little bit of penetrating oil on those threads. These are the correct nuts, so I'll remove them now, and again I'll use the studs to mark where I'll drill. Compensate a little bit for the angle that it goes down onto the roof. Hopefully I get that right. So I'll just put it across there. Again, it just makes it easier to mark it. It's quite a snug fit, so that helps to mark it accurately. Away now. Again, I think these are 5 now. There's just a little spike left of one of the studs. One of the two outside ones rusted the most. I wonder, is that because of rainwater running down the edges of the roof and into that area more than the car's relatively short lifespan on the road. I think that spoiler must have only been on the road for about 12 years. The thread is really gone on this outer one, but the other one was nearly non-existent. So I'm doing the same thing as I did with the studs and the wheel arches. I cut that off, make kind of a flat pad with the the grinding disc just so that I can get in with a very small drill bit. I think this is just a 2mm, just to help me really get the center, and then I'll actually drill it out at 4.5, and I'll thread it with a 5mm tap, which is, it's that short one. There's no broken one that I use, so it doesn't go in too deep. And yeah, like for that access point, just putting the grips to hold it rather than the T-piece that you normally use with the taps. Bit more the penetrating fluid just because it was there to hand, and that'll just help it cut in nicely. I've blown the swarf out of the holes as well. So I'm just cutting these M5 bolt heads off. I've actually put 2 nuts on that there. I'm just peeling off the swarf on the edges. So I've got 2 nuts on it so that I can tighten it in. It's quite satisfying seeing those go in, because they look almost just like the originals. Again, might use something to bond them in at a later stage when I'm doing that stuff around the car and when this is going on permanently. So there, I just unlocked the 2 bolts which were locked against each other, and that's left a stud. Now, I hadn't noticed this before, but there's actually threaded holes between a few of these studs. So there was bolts or screws going in from the inside of the car into this as well. So it's held in, I think, 4 more places. So I'll just make a little template with a piece of paper to find these. So just finding it there with my finger and punching it with a screwdriver. That's the location of those. So I'll actually use, these would be the screws I'm going to use from the inside coming out, but not in these holes, and that'll let me mark the hole. So these screws will be coming out from the inside through this hole that I'm marking here. And I was about to make another template when I realized that that one turned over is the right one for the left hand side, and I did check it against the spoiler, so they did manage to make it isometric. That's my other hole, and then I went across the diagonal of the same sheet of paper that was remaining and got enough distance to go between these 2 studs, and there's actually 2 threaded holes between them. They go on either side of that little washer jet for the back window. Might not fit the rear wiper motor. I've got a screen that doesn't have one. There's no real point in carrying that weight. So therefore, should I leave the washer jet in place or not? Saving a bit of weight there. So drilling out those holes. And they actually don't correspond with the openings on the inside. So I've drilled some holes to get the screwdriver through, and at these 2 on the edges, I'm actually doing an M11 size hole here, so I can get the head of the screw through there. The others I should be able to slide in from the side, and that'll bolt it all up. So just slotting that in there, and that's my rear spoiler ready to be fitted after I paint the car. I love the look.